Hey movie lovers, ready to dive into the wild world of Hollywood cult classics? What's up everybody, it's your girl, and today we are talking about the movies that broke the mold, went against the grain, and built their own little armies of devoted, quote-spouting, costume-wearing fans. These aren't your average blockbusters, oh no. These are the films that whispered, hey, you're a little weird, I'm a little weird, let's be weird together. And a generation of fans screamed back, yes! We're talking about the Midnight Darlings, the home video heroes, the movies that flopped at first but then found their people. These are the 10 cult movies that changed Hollywood forever. Let's get into it. Alright, let's time warp right into our first pick. You know it, you love it. You've probably thrown toast at a screen because of it. It's the Rocky Horror Picture Show. First, let's give it up for the Dream Team. The absolutely iconic Tim Curry as Dr. Frank N. Furter, a young Susan Sarandon as our sweet Janet, the brilliant Jim Sharman directing this masterpiece of madness, producer Lou Adler who saw the vision, and of course the mastermind behind the music and story, Richard O'Brien. These legends came together and created something that wasn't just a movie, it was an experience, a party, a glitter-soaked revolution that Hollywood never saw coming. The story follows the squeaky clean, newly engaged couple, Brad and Janet, whose car breaks down on a dark and stormy night. They seek help at a nearby castle, only to find it's the annual Transylvanian Convention, hosted by the sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania, Dr. Frankenfurter. The film initially bombed, but then something magical happened. Theaters started showing it at midnight, and audiences didn't just come to watch, they came to participate. It grossed a staggering $140 million against a tiny budget, proving that the weirdos, the outcasts, and the creatures of the night will always find their home. The first rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club. But we're gonna break that rule, just for you. We've got the effortlessly cool Brad Pitt as Tyler Durden, the brilliant Edward Norton as our unreliable narrator, and the visionary director David Fincher, who painted this gritty, dark world for us. The story follows our main character, an insomniac office worker drowning in the soulless void of consumer culture. He meets Tyler Durden, a charismatic and anarchistic soap salesman, and together they start an underground fight club where men can beat each other senseless to feel alive again. Fight Club was super controversial and didn't do great at the box office initially, but then the DVD came out and it found its true audience. A generation of viewers connected with its rebellious spirit and philosophical questions. It ended up making $101.2 million worldwide, becoming a true testament to the power of a home video resurrection. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? Because next up, we're talking about the film that redefined indie cinema. The one, the only Pulp Fiction. John Travolta's career-reviving role as Vincent Vega, Uma Thurman as Mia Wallace, Samuel L. Jackson as Jules Winfield, and at the helm, the master of cool, director Quentin Tarantino, alongside producer Lawrence Bender. Pulp Fiction isn't one story, it's a bunch of them, all jumbled up and thrown at you out of order. We follow two hitmen on a job, their boss's wife on a wild night out, a boxer who refuses to throw a fight, and a couple of lovebird robbers in a diner. What made Pulp Fiction an instant cult classic? Quentin Tarantino's signature style was on full display. The whip-smart dialogue, the non-linear timeline, and the perfect blend of brutal violence and dark comedy. It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes and became a massive commercial success, grossing $213.9 million. Why are you wearing that stupid man suit? Get ready to question everything, because we're stepping into the surreal and melancholic world of Donnie Darko. Jake Gyllenhaal, Gina Malone, Richard Kelly as writer-director, produced by Sean McKittrick, and that hauntingly beautiful score by Michael Andrews, featuring Mad World. The story centers on Donnie, a smart but disturbed teenager who starts having visions of a 6-foot-tall rabbit named Frank. Frank informs Donnie that the world will end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. Donnie Darko was a box office bomb, making a measly $7.5 million. But then, it found a second life on DVD and at midnight screenings. People would watch it over and over, trying to piece together its complex mythology. It became the ultimate cult film of the new millennium, a puzzle that fans are still lovingly trying to solve to this day. Careful, man, there's a beverage here. Next up, we're abiding with the ultimate slacker hero in the Coen brothers comedy masterpiece, The Big Lebowski. Jeff Bridges in his career-defining role as the Dude, John Goodman as Walter Sobchak, Joel and Ethan Coen as writer-directors and producers, and Carter Burwell's atmospheric score. The plot is a wonderfully convoluted mystery. It all kicks off when two thugs mistake the Dude for a millionaire and pee on his rug. That rug really tied the room together. This sends the Dude and his bowling buddies on a wild adventure involving kidnapping, nihilists, pornographers, a missing toe, and a whole lot of White Russians. Like many cult classics, The Big Lebowski wasn't a huge hit initially, but its quirky characters, endlessly quotable dialogue, and laid-back philosophy made it a film that gets better with every watch. Fans started Lebowski fests, and the film even inspired its own religion, Dudeism. It proves that sometimes the most enduring stories are the ones that just want to take it easy, man. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. We are now jumping into the neon-drenched, rain-soaked future of Blade Runner. Harrison Ford as the world-weary detective Rick Deckard, the magnetic Rutger Hauer as the replicant Roy Batty, and the legendary director Ridley Scott, with producer Michael Dealey and the iconic synthesizer score by Vangelis. Set in a dystopian Los Angeles in 2019, Deckard is a Blade Runner whose job is to hunt down bioengineered androids called replicants. As he delves deeper into the city's dark underbelly, the line between human and machine begins to blur, and he's forced to question his own identity and the very nature of humanity. Blade Runner was a commercial disappointment initially, making only $41.6 million. But over the years, its reputation grew immensely. The release of multiple cuts, especially Ridley Scott's final cut, allowed the film to be seen as intended, solidifying its status as a sci-fi masterpiece, a profound work of art that was simply ahead of its time. Viddy well, little brother, viddy well. Prepare yourselves for a bit of the old ultra-violence, because we're diving into Stanley Kubrick's controversial and brilliant A Clockwork Orange. Malcolm McDowell in a fearless performance as Alex DeLarge, Patrick McGee as Mr. Alexander, and the meticulous genius, director and producer Stanley Kubrick himself, with Wendy Carlos's groundbreaking electronic interpretations of classical music. Set in futuristic Britain, the film follows Alex, the charismatic and sociopathic leader of a gang of droogs. After being betrayed and arrested, Alex volunteers for the Ludovico technique, which strips him of his violent impulses, but also his free will, raising profound questions about crime, punishment, and the nature of good and evil. A Clockwork Orange was one of the most controversial films ever made. Its graphic content caused a moral panic, and Kubrick eventually withdrew the film from UK distribution. Despite this, it became a massive cultural touchstone, fascinating audiences with its challenging philosophical questions. A disturbing but essential masterpiece that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about society. Inconceivable. Let's take a break from the dark and dystopian for the charming, witty, and endlessly romantic world of The Princess Bride. Cary Elwes as Wesley, Robin Wright as Princess Buttercup, Rob Reiner directing, produced by Andrew Scheinman, and the enchanting score by Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits. The story is framed as a grandfather reading to his sick grandson about Buttercup, who falls in love with farm boy Wesley. When Wesley is presumed dead, Buttercup is forced to marry the villainous Prince Humperdinck. What follows is a grand adventure with fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, and miracles. The Princess Bride had a modest box office run, making just $30.9 million. However, its real success came on home video. Families discovered this gem, and it was passed down from generation to generation, earning a lifelong passionate fan base, one of the most beloved films of all time. Say hello to my little friend. We're cranking up the intensity and diving into the excessive, explosive, and iconic gangster epic Scarface. Al Pacino delivering one of the most over-the-top performances in history as Tony Montana, Michelle Pfeiffer as Elvira Hancock, masterful director Brian De Palma, producer Martin Bregman, and Giorgio Moroder's pulsating 80s synth score. The film tells the rags-to-riches-to-ruin story of Tony Montana, a Cuban refugee who arrives in 1980s Miami with nothing and builds a massive cocaine empire. We watch his brutal climb as he eliminates rivals, takes what he wants, and indulges in every excess imaginable, but his paranoia, greed, and explosive temper lead to his spectacular downfall. When Scarface was released, it was torn apart by critics for its extreme violence and glorification of criminal lifestyle. It still managed $66 million at the box office, but found a massive, devoted following, particularly within hip-hop culture, drawn to the underdog story and unapologetic ambition. A definitive cult classic. Oh, hi, Mark. We've reached the end of our list, and we're closing it out with the undisputed king of the so-bad-it's-good cult movie, the one, the only, The Room. This cinematic train wreck is the singular vision of Tommy Wiseau, who served as writer, director, producer, and star, joined by Juliette Danielle as Lisa, with a bizarre score by Mladen Milicevic. The plot revolves around Johnny, a successful banker in San Francisco played by Wiseau, who has a perfect life with his fiancée Lisa. However, for reasons that are never clear, Lisa gets bored and decides to have an affair with Johnny's best friend Mark. The story is filled with nonsensical subplots, dialogue that sounds like it was translated by a broken computer, and acting that ranges from wooden to hysterically over the top. The Room was a colossal failure on release, making just $1,900. But then people started discovering it, and realized how unintentionally funny it was. Midnight screenings began, audiences shouted the terrible dialogue, dressed as characters, and famously threw plastic spoons at the screen, turning Wiseau into a cult icon. One of the most beloved bad movies ever made. And there you have it, folks. 10 movies that defied expectations, found their tribes, and carved out their own special places in Hollywood history. These films prove that a movie's legacy isn't always decided on opening weekend. They connect with us on a deeper level, make us feel like we're part of a secret, awesome club, and taught Hollywood that audiences are smarter, weirder, and more adventurous than they often get credit for. So next time you stumble upon a movie that seems a little different, give it a chance. Which cult classic is your favorite? Drop it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more movie magic. Until next time, stay cool and keep watching the weird stuff. Bye!